Hey guys, I'm Tim.
And I'm Bob.
And this is the Board Game Rundown. And today we're going to talk to you a little bit about this beautiful beast, CYSMIC. This gigantic monster of a board game is not really like anything I've seen before.
Yeah.
In this game, basically, Earth has commissioned all these people to go to space to terraform this planet. And the problem is they made it all like private business ventures. And so everybody's got their own way of doing things, and very quickly we over-terraform the planet. Mm-hmm. And so now we're trying to grab up whatever resources we can to finish up our colony ships that we're going to build and then launch to get the...
Evac.
Get the heck out of Dodge.
Yeah.
So the first player to build and launch their ship successfully wins. There are some mitigating factors there because you... if you don't bring all of your people back, you may not be able to launch. If you get everybody back to your ship, you can evacuate it
no problem.
And launch. But you can try to launch early.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, so this is a prototype. It's beautiful, it's big, it's bold, and we're going to talk about some of the things this game does. Mm-hmm. So everybody is going to have a unique player board, and there's a player faction which is going to give you unique abilities, starting items, things like that. Mm-hmm. So super asymmetrical. Everybody's going to have stuff and play pretty differently. On the board, there are these habitats, and depending on the level is going to determine how much influence you have. Mm-hmm. That's going to say how many resources you can hold and things like that. We've got all kinds of different amazing units. There are speakers, there are soldiers, there are miners, there's harvesters, there are soldiers, and then there are, let me get the right name, the power mechs. Yeah. These guys are going to give you different combat value, different abilities, and different things are going to happen on the board. They're going to roll different dice. All of that is, and this is again a prototype, but as of right now, all of that is broken down on your player board. And once you understand the iconography, it's really pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
Yep. So pretty cool. Again, important to know, you can only hold so many resources. You're also going to have the ability to get relics and hold relics. And they're going to give you, again, unique abilities, right? So like this one, each of your speakers rolls +1 yellow die. So that's really good because speakers usually aren't very combat heavy. So if you can get them a little bit stronger, right? Each of your soldiers roll an extra red die. Yeah. Redirection, when you draw a fracture token, you may place it back in the bag and draw again. Because that's the thing is, there are going to be things that are going to cause fractures, seismic events.
Seismic activity.
You're going to have cards that are going to have like that little seismic, reading on there. Yeah. And if you use that ability, you are going to move this track up. Whoop. And when we get to the fracture space, we are straight up getting a fracture, which means we're going to reach into this bag, and there's all sorts of tokens in here. And
pull a good one, Tim.
Let's see what I get a good one. False alarm. So that would mean nothing would happen.
That was not a good one, Tim.
That was not a good one. Let's draw another one. This one is...
Oh, there you go.
So on the one side, it says the wetlands. So that would be actually directly in front of Bob, I believe.
The wetlands that
or no,
way?
the wetlands is over there.
Okay.
But then it would be all 6 tiles on the bottom.
Let's see if I can do that.
On the bottom row. So what that means is this planet is like literally falling apart underneath us as we speak. So now that reveals a whole new set of tiles. Well, or a whole new section of the board.
Images and stuff, yeah.
So some units are going to have an early warning ability, and they are going to know that the fracture is coming, and they're going to have the ability to move. Other units are going to fall into whatever is underneath. There could be just sort of like a devastated area, or it could be the abyss, which is just molten hot magma. Super bad. A big bummer. Mm-hmm. So yeah, like this thing is going to be happening constantly, and it feels like it starts to speed up right as the game goes.
Yeah, because like what will happen is as you use these tokens and get to the fracture, then you're going to leave a token like behind, and then the track's going to get shorter. So it gets shorter and shorter and shorter each time we hit a fracture because it's just compounding the problem.
Right. So you're losing habitats and all kinds of stuff, places to get the ore, or the crystals and everything. And yeah, your troops, our pets' heads are falling off. All kinds of bad stuff is going to happen. So there's a real sense of urgency see as everything starts going. So even though those areas are devastated, the darker ones, you could still move onto it and have units there. But those abyss ones, no.
Yeah.
Not happening.
Melty.
Another very interesting thing to point out about this board is you're going to see these little arrow icons all around it. Those arrows all touch each other because this planet, unlike Earth, is round.
Right.
I'm just kidding. I did my own research, so I know.
Spherical.
So yeah, this planet is spherical. Like the Earth. And so, yeah, the yellow arrows over there touch the yellow arrows over here.
It's almost like the center city is like the North Pole, then everything else kind of wraps around. And that's one of my favorite things about this game.
It's very cool. There's also caves on the board.
All connected.
So you can pop through. Each region does have a cave, so boop, 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 you can pop through. Now, lakes are spots you can't go to.
And
the mountains are spots you cannot go to.
Correct.
But other than that, you're going to be trying to get the crystals off of the crystal spaces. Sometimes things are going to give you relics, so you can like usually the devastated sites will get populated with relics.
Correct. 2
or 3. So now you want to get a guy there, so then you can grab a relic and throw it in. And then the other one, yet another thing that makes this game very interesting is you've got all of these command cards. Okay, so these command cards are your actions you're going to select to do. Everybody's got the same ones, but what you're going to do is you're going to pick one to do, and you're going to burn one. So we just put it underneath that card, and we would slot it over in the command spot. And then you're going to start at the top of the card, and you're going to go down and do the actions.
And you can skip some of them. You don't have to do them all, right? You don't have to do the jump jet.
Right. If you use the jump jet, it will cause a seismic activity, this and that. Right. All kinds of things. But it will, it could activate units. Right. It can upgrade stuff. You could build your colony ship. You move your colony ship. And then there are icons on the bottom of the card, and on your player board, you have those icons. You can now activate one of those actions also. So there's usually 3, I think.
I think most of them have 3.
Yep. So you're going to get an additional action
depending
of
where
those
you
3.
do it,
And those are different depending on where they are in the player board.
There's 5 command zone lakes.
So it's very important to pay attention to that because it is very unique. And so you might have thought, oh, well, it did it this round.
Yeah, in Command 1, this is gain 2 crystals, but then over here, it's gain a relic. So, they're very different.
They're very different. So, but really interesting and adds to the timing of when you want to do things.
Yep.
You can always discard a relic to pick up a command card. I believe it was that.
Something like that, or maybe one of the buried ones.
Yeah, it might be the buried one. But
you can have as many relics as you want, but you only have 2 active.
You can only have so many active, and then there's also going to be sabotage and sabotage and exploit. So only one sabotage can be activated at one time, and that will usually adds sort of an ongoing event, bad times
effect or something
thing that's going to happen to you or everyone. Like this one, when opponents would return hostages or salvage to their owner, they must give those units to you instead. So you're getting stuff. It's very mean,
right? And it's kind of important because you need to be trading those units to gain the tech you need,
the stuff you need,
to build your ship.
Yes. And then this exploit is do it immediately and then discard it. You would draw and keep 2 discoveries and 1 relic. So it's pretty powerful. So they really do balance and make you kind of want to think about
which one you want to do.
What you want to do. Yes. And then discoveries are going to give you different, there's actions, reactions. So this is an action, move an unlocked enemy soldier. So that means they're not engaged in combat with anybody. To a space with any opposing unit. So, I mean, that's going to pop a guy bloop, all over the place, right? There's guilty conscience, play during any launch, force an opponent to re-roll the humanity die. So if they have not brought all of their guys back to their ship, they've got to roll the humanity die. Excuse me.
Yeah, and it's got different people on there. So if you roll it and it's got the 4 people crossed out, you can basically leave 4 people behind because you've lost that much humanity and you're just attempt to get out of here. But then there's some of them that say, no, you got to have all of your people on ship in order to get out of there. So every time you try to escape, you roll that die to see what your chances are.
And there's also this one's detonate. This one's mean. Play at the start of your combat. Detonate your locked units. All units in this space are destroyed.
I played that.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Against West, that was one of the things I had that got me back a little bit. I was a little revenge.
Blow West guys up.
He's because I had one guy, so he moved a bunch of guys in. I'm like,
But But yeah, I mean, that's the game. That's the game. It's pretty mean. It's very take that.
Yeah.
I think you're going to have the highest of highs and the lowest of lows as you get units devastated. You think you're doing things and making stuff happen. We do have, so I guess we should get into also when you build your ship, you're going to, when you meet that requirement or take the action, you are going to then add that piece to your ship.
There you go.
And it's gonna.
What's cool about it is like, so each one of these has like a hole in it, and it's shaped a certain way, and so all these little pegs inside here have that shape on there, so you know how and where that piece goes in there. Maybe. As I say
it
that.
says
there it goes.
Where it goes.
It fits on there just right. There it goes. And now that one's built. And then as you continue to build them, they will keep sliding in there. There's another triangle. Look at that.
Yeah, keep going.
I've done this before. Actually, I didn't do this well when we played.
I had my whole ship built. I think I got my last piece built, but I was so far away from getting anybody
people there
on the ship. And then West was already just moving guys back, and it really was difficult because we were
so much of it was devastated, and then there were mountains in the way and stuff like that.
Yeah, it was hard to get the moves, and then it didn't do me any good to kill his guys because that just made it easier for him to leave,
right?
Because he didn't have to wait for him.
You took care of his humanity issue for him,
right?
It's like I wasn't going to kill them, but Tim killed them, so now I don't have to worry about it. I'm having a hard time getting this guy in here.
Yeah, sometimes you got to just do it.
Finagle it.
Yeah, and this is a prototype.
It is a prototype.
But I mean, that's CYSMIC. In a nutshell, there's a lot of, like I said, combat, territory control. There's some take that because you're being mean, you're playing cards on other people. So definitely not going to be for everybody. But like, I like these kind of games. That's mostly there. Yeah, we haven't had a ton of exposure with it yet, but
I just want to say, like, this board is one of the most unique things I've seen.
Yes.
Like, the whole fact that as you're doing the CYSMIC activity and you're pulling out of the bag and destroying a whole, line in a territory, and then there's so many spaces adjacent that you don't think are adjacent. Like, you think you're, like, far enough away from somebody, and he, like, moves 2 spaces. Oh, look, there he is, because he wrapped around, went into a cave or something like that. Like, this is a very unique board. I love how these tiles come off there, and it was super smart to put the little, like, carve out on the corners so they're easy to pull those tiles out. Yeah.
Very easy. Because, I think when the harvester harvests, doesn't he destroy the spot he's on as well?
I think he can. You have the command cards.
Oh, I do have the command cards. Hi. Look at that.
Yeah, it'll tell you right there. And then, again, with the timing of, like, when you play a card in the different command areas, that those symbols on there are doing something different in each spot. Like, that's just... It's very unique. Yeah.
So the harvester just adds CYSMIC activity.
Okay.
But when you move your colony ship, it destroys
what's underneath it.
The space that is underneath it.
Yep.
And so, as you're moving,
you can crush troops with it.
Yeah, we saw lots of troops get crushed.
A lot of my troops get crushed with it. Yes.
Lots of troops. Yeah. Mike had a bunch of troops crushed too, I think.
Did he?
Yeah, I think so.
I thought I was being sneaky with my guy on the orange, and Wes had his building on the orange. I'm like... And then at West he's like, I'll crush your guys. I'm like, oh, he saw it coming.
Right. What have we done?
Yeah. And then very, very bad things happened after that. I was demolished.
But yeah, this game does a lot of unique things. I really appreciate the command card system and the way that you select your actions. It makes it very difficult to decide what cards you want to bury.
Yeah.
Because it is, like, discarding a relic can be, I mean, if you've got a bunch of them, it's not so bad to go back and get a card that you buried, but like to if you don't have a ton of those, man, it's like, oh,
do not want to get rid of that card.
Yeah.
And there was a relic that I had that let you not have to bury a card each time, and that was super helpful because I didn't have to spend half my cards going. I had more access to them further down the line, which was nice.
Right. Yeah. So
didn't help me win though.
Well,
first game.
Right. First game. Doesn't count unless you win.
Oh, yeah, and it has got this unique system too, where if you're the troops that move in on a battle, you put these little first strike tokens on here, and that's going to allow you to roll the better die. Or you think you attack first, or there's these dice right here, like a blue and a brown.
Yeah.
Is that brown or green? I don't know. Don't ask me colors.
Those are green.
Okay. And so like the first strike people will have like the better die, and then the other people will have the
so the attacker's gonna have a blue die, and the defender's gonna have a green die, and then Then when you roll the die, you're going to resolve all the hits.
And I haven't seen that in a lot of combat games either, where it kind of matters who's moving in to initiate the fight.
Yeah, and also, though, we could be... You can, so when you move in with your soldiers, you engage, you lock them in combat, So now they can't move. And like
because the fight card's a different card,
because
right?
the battle card is the one. Whoever plays that is going to give their unit first strike.
There you go.
So that's the important part there.
Yep.
And there's other things that can give you first strike, things that can happen.
Yeah, like relics and events and stuff
to
like that.
manipulate that.
Yep.
So again, all kinds of stuff going on. We're not going to go into like all of the minutia.
Yeah.
But yeah, and there's a few different variants as far as the end game goes in the back of the book, so you can look at those. And they tell you in the book also, depending on player count, how many rounds to expect the game to
play.
go.
Sure.
So
I would say when you got like a bunch of experienced people, like, because me, Tim, West, Mike, we've played a lot of games. And then when you play something like an Axis and Allies or some sort of a tactical movement combat system like this, like it could take a little while.
Yeah, our game went long, but
Yeah.
it wasn't bad for me. I mean, I didn't feel like there was a lot of downtime because I was spending so much time just working on my next action and like, okay, so how do I do this? Making sure I've got all this stuff. And by the time I had
downtime at all.
By the time I had all that mathed out, it was basically my turn again, or somebody was attacking me.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, well now get ready for this.
Yeah.
So yeah, lots of interesting things going on. Really unique. The most unique board I've ever seen.
Yeah,
it's so
amazing.
Interactive, right?
And hopefully you see that top down. You can see the different like color territories of the different types of sections that the planet has on it, and yeah, just the fact that everything wraps around like that. So this is connected to that, is connected to that, is connected to that. Like that's just amazing. Then all the caves are connected through the one tunnel system. Mm-hmm. That's very cool.
Yeah. It just does a lot of really, really, really unique things. I'm excited to see more of this game. Mm-hmm. I'd like to play it more. But you also, again, don't take this to grandma's for Thanksgiving.
Right.
And be like, oh, you like a 10, we should play CYSMIC. What?
Yeah.
They both begin with C.
Yeah, they're both C words.
Yeah. But yeah, man, if any of this sounds interesting, please reach out. Let us know. Check out the crowdfunding campaign coming soon.
Yeah. And when we know we have a link, we'll probably put it down in the description once it's
100%.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you'll hear us talk about this like on a Whiskey Wednesday sometime too.
Probably.
But yeah. Any questions? What's your favorite territory control game? Let us know in the comments, right?
Okay.
Let us know if CYSMIC is for you.
Right.
Other than that, Bobby, you got anything else?
No, that's it. Like, I mean, I love components, and these components are amazing.
Yeah,
So,
this prototype board is one of the most beautiful, crazy-looking prototypes I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And we've seen some really interesting ones.
Sure, yeah.
But this was very cool.
Mm-hmm.
So, for the board game rundown, I've been Tim.
Bob.
This has been CYSMIC. Thanks for watching.
And you can say the title's only 3 words.